Hello there guys, and in this tutorial let us talk about file modes and permissions. Okay, and before we even talk about that, let's talk about why are file modes and permissions important. Well, I think I touched upon this in some other tutorials. If you don't have the right permissions, you might not be able to modify certain files. And what it means is that you either won't be able to read, write, or execute them. That's why sometimes you get the error saying permission denied. That is exactly what happens. You don't have the right permissions. Okay, so every Linux file has a set of permissions that determine whether you have the rights to read, write, or execute the file. Now, I will use the lsl command, which stands for lslong, and I can actually see here, for example, let's take a look at this file and take a look at its permissions. So the first column are its permissions, okay? So let's take a look at that. Let's break it down. Let's break this column down, looking from left to right. So the first character indicates the file type. Dash indicates a regular file, so we are dealing with a regular file. A D indicates a directory. And there's some other file types as well, which we are going to discuss these other file types, I think, in the future tutorials. But for now, just you can think of them as, okay, there's the dash, that means that's a regular file, and there's the D, which means that it's the directory. Then the next three characters, okay, so the next three characters indicate the user permissions. So basically, this means that this file was created by the user Mislav, and we can see it here. Okay, so file owner is Mislav, and basically Mislav can read and write to the file. Now, these three characters indicate group permissions, and now group permissions are to remind ourselves in the fourth column, which happens also to be Mislav. So basically, the group which is named Mislav, all of the members of that group can only read the file, and they can't write to the file, neither can they execute the file. Okay, so if we have a dash here, it means that we can't do something. If we have a letter instead of a dash, that means that we can do something. And again, if just to review, you are dealing with read, write, and execute. Okay, so if you have RWX, that means that the, for example, here, that would mean that I, because I am Mislav, the third column, I am the user who owns the file, I could read, write, and execute this file. Okay, now the group can only read, it can't write, it can't execute, and the last three characters actually indicate the world permissions. Those are the permissions of everyone else who is neither the user nor the group member. Okay, so this indicates the permissions of everyone else who is neither the user nor the group member. Okay. And I just wanted to leave you a note on groups, because I mentioned groups and then I really covered them in depth. Well, if only you use your computer, you most likely won't have to mangle with groups. Groups are sets of users, a convenient way to modify permissions for a set of users within a group, because you can add users to a group and remove users from groups. But I personally never had to mangle with groups, neither in my day-to-day use, neither on my software engineering job. I never really had to mangle with groups. Okay, so if you're a software engineer, if you're a system administrator, you will most likely have to do that. So definitely that's something that you can look up. But again, it's something I'm not going to cover because, number one, I never really mangled around with groups, and I just don't see the need because the primary audience for this course, although again it's beneficial for everyone, primary audience are software engineers and sort of people who want to switch from Windows to Linux, but actually want to understand what is going on. Okay, so this is it for this tutorial. Again, the permissions tell you what the user can do, what the group can do, and what the world can do. And the world is everybody else that is not the user and not the group. And the first character is an indication of the file type. So it can either be a regular file, a directory, or something else. Okay, so that's the summary of this tutorial. I hope you kind of learned something new, and I hope to see you in the next tutorial. Talk soon.